where the experts meet. Online learning, practical and sweet. Every Saturday, 9 a.m. Central Time. YouTube, Facebook, X, and LinkedIn. Online.
Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Vic Senese. Glad to have everybody here. This is your first time checking us out, or if you haven't liked and subscribed, what are you waiting for? Like and subscribe. Helps our show. Hey, today's guest is Dr. Gregory Burzynski, a board-certified internist with a passion for transforming healthcare through prevention and innovation. Who doesn't want that? He earned his degree in neurobiology from the University of Texas at Austin and completed his medical school at Jagiellonian University Medical College in Poland. His internal medicine residency was at UT Southwestern and a fellowship in integrative medicine at the University of Arizona. Today, we'll discuss the future of preventative medicine, biological age, AI, and cancer risk, and how these emerging technologies could change the way we predict and prevent disease. So please welcome Dr. Gregory Burzynski and my co-host, Lori Atkinson. Welcome to the show, folks. How are you doing?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Doing
Thank
okay?
you.
Everybody's good? All right, great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you just to kind of give us a quick presentation about what you do, and then we'll come back for questions, okay?
Yes, certainly. Well, I've been almost a doctor for 20 years, and it's been quite a journey. I grew up in a family of doctors, and it was a very interesting life. I was always told that I should be one. I need to help people, make them feel better. And what's interesting was my parents were a little bit on the outskirts as they were trying to get a drug approved through the FDA for cancer, glioblastoma. So I met other people that were very interesting, and I eventually went to medical school. And medical school was a great time, of course. You learn a lot, but you typically just get the standard of care. And that happens in residency. You do everything there, and you realize people still need help. People still need some better solutions. So down the line, when I had my own practice, I figured I have the ability to speak about everything, the best of both worlds, I should say. Getting people healthier, preventative things, and exploring whatever can help them, right? Not just the insurance list of things that are covered. That's just a beginning, I feel. So I think it's a beautiful time now. We have so many interesting things and possibilities, and being healthy has never sounded or been better, I think. So I do a lot of things to help people do that. I always say it's better to make sure you are, if you are having some health issues, earlier the better, right? You don't want to be like 70, 80 years old and then realize you have a problem. I think a lot of this can be avoided. And I think that the future is going to be so amazing if we get it right. So that's me, essentially. That's what I do. I welcome people to have a discussion. And of course, we see what is best for them. Not just what I think, but of course, what the person thinks.
All right, great. So let me just start off by asking you a little bit of some questions. So first of all, you were talking about the fact that most of your family were physicians, or you came from a group of physicians. I think a lot of us had similar backgrounds. My father was an X-ray technician. My mom was a nurse. So I think it's just table talk, right?
Exactly. That's what we talk about. That's what we do. And then we have a nice life, I think. Yeah.
Lori, was it similar background for you, or nobody in your family in the medical field?
No, well, my daughter is a veterinarian, if you call that close enough. But other than that, no, I don't have a lot of people in the medical field in my family. I'm probably the first nurse. So,
Wow. So
yeah.
a little bit of difference. All right. So can you explain a little bit about concierge medicine, Dr.
Well,
Burzynski?
concierge medicine, I don't think is a new thing, right? I think that's how it used to be. 100 years ago, or 80 even, I think people had their doctor that really took care of them, knew them. He maybe did house calls, home visits. That was what it was. Now then, as time went on, you had the insurance world explode more, right? So now you have nurse practitioners, you have a new doctor each time. You have this loss of communication, I feel. Sometimes one doctor doesn't talk to the other doctor. So I think as advanced as we are, we've kind of gotten a little worse in certain things. So I went down the concierge path because I see the benefit of being that person. Now, of course, there's limitations to how many people you can have, right? You can't have 10,000 people, but you can always get more people and you can still give the high quality of care. And I think patients are happier that way and they can really solve what they're looking for, I think.
Now, with concierge medicine, is that mostly telephone health care, telehealth,
Well,
or
it can be if they don't need, if they would not like to come in, they can give me a call. We can get on a televisit. We have a video screen looking at us. If they don't want the video screen or the bad connection, then we have a simple phone call. They say, I have X, Y, and Z. Like I had a guy with COVID last week. Can you please send something for me? I don't feel so good. Or I got this news. They email it to me. I give them a reply. They can, of course, come in and we can do everything, but the abilities are now very interesting. We can communicate on the second with the person and hopefully get what they need.
yeah? I'm going to bring up a question here that I have. And how is biological age different from chronological age? And why does it matter for predicting future health risks? So you were talking
Exactly.
a lot about in your type of work, looking at the chronological age versus biological age. Can you explain that?
Yes, exactly. So a number is just a number, right? So we may not be living the best life. We may not be eating the best things. We may not be doing certain things. So that is causing our body to actually age faster. The cells are aging faster epigenetically, and there's other mechanisms. Now, just like you've seen people, probably you've seen people, and they tell you their age, and you're like, "No way! I thought way older. You look so amazing." Well, that's aging in general. So not only is it a process in the blood and the genes, but it reveals itself externally, right? So you get to be that person that actually looks good. So the hope is, I think, in a few years, maybe, when we're hitting that 80-year-old age, we're actually going to look pretty good. We could even look like 50, 40. So that's the idea. We fix the epigenetic aging, the biological aging. It'll just be a number. And I think that's where we're going, actually.
Now, how do you prevent from looking like an 80-year-old when you're 50, or looking like a 50-year-old when you're 80? How is that done?
Well, you got to get serious about your health. You can't just lackadaisically do this. You get a genetic benefit, of course. You may have good genes, but that's not enough. You need to do the right things. You need to stay ahead of illness. You need to learn where you are metabolically, biologically, what's going ahead in this life, in this curve. Okay. So you can't just walk along and say, oh, I'm going to be great. No, you need to actually, at some point in your life, you need to get serious about your health. And that actually, I tell people, it actually pays you back. So at first, you might spend a little bit, but it's way cheaper than having the actual issue arise later.
Yeah. And Lori's a good example, probably, of not genetically aging, because she's, believe it or not, a
Yeah,
grandmother.
I've been about 30. Yeah, I'm a grandma of my seventh is on the way. I have 5 kids
Wow.
and
Wow.
gonna have 7 grandkids. Yeah, it's
Amazing.
the Polish in me, just like Burzynski. I assume you're Polish, right?
Yeah, well, I am. That was my first language. I was born here, though. My wife's born in Poland as well.
Yeah, my
Wow.
maiden name is Kowalczyk. So,
Okay, you made it. Yeah.
There you go.
yeah,
So you Polish folks don't age
yeah,
like
yeah,
us
exactly.
Italians.
Yeah, some of us.
All right. Next question I have is, how is AI helping doctors identify cancer risk earlier than traditional screening methods?
Well, we have some tests now that weren't around 10 years ago, for example. That's number one. And some of them have AI helping them. So you can actually do a blood test and find out if you have any risk of cancer. Of course, there are false positive concerns, false negative ones, but it can tell you if you have something. And that's a big deal, right? Because we just have a few screening tests. We have the colonoscopy, breast screen for women, prostate for men, and a few others. But the other thing is just have a nice day. Good luck. But
Mhm.
what if we were able to eliminate stage 4 cancer, right? That's huge. So, and I've seen this. You get a result. It tells you the person may have cancer. It says where it's coming from. And then we go hunting. and we send them to a specialist. And it's funny because the times I've done it, it was so early that I sent them to the specialist, and the specialist did the beautiful test and everything. He said, "Oh, you're okay." I told him, "Whoa, whoa, let's make sure you're okay." I sent to another specialist. He decided to do a biopsy, and he did in fact have cancer. And even before that, the radiologist called it just likely inflammatory. The owner of the company that was sold last year, which is fascinating. So I think everybody's waking up at we're getting early. We have AI, which can help us do more better, right? I have so many doctors and even even patients telling me, "Wait, I did this in AI. What do you think about that?" And we have a discussion. So it's not a thoughtless thing. A lot of people are thinking how we can be healthier and better. So that's just one of the tests. The Cologuard is also there. If you don't want a colonoscopy, you can do genetic testing. There's other companies like Gallery. So it's an exciting time, I think.
This is something if you were to be part of your organization, your group, you would offer these tests to your patients, or
100%. I have this discussion with them. I'm like, "I'd like to tell you about this test. It's a great idea. It probably one day will be approved by insurance." Okay. But the sad part is it'll be still a few years. So we don't know what will happen in a few years with you. I mean, what if you get some bad news? So it may cost you, let's say, $1,000 to get the test, but it can be
Mhm.
life saving if you catch something early and you take it out of the body and you fix it, and then you live your life, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. So I'm going to bring up this other question. Looking ahead, how do you see AI and biological age changing preventative medicine over the next 10 years? So into the future, what's going to happen?
Well, that's something a lot of people have different ideas, and I think the future is going to be amazing. Like I asked this question even about my kids, right? They're 7 and 10 years old. That means
Hmm.
in 10 years they're going to be in high school and in college. And what will the world look like, and what jobs will be there available for them, right? I think there still will be jobs, and I think AI will help us live even better. I think certain diseases will be eradicated. Like even now, I had a patient come in with type 1 diabetes. They said, "I can't believe this. I heard from this one clinical trial in town that they're getting actual cures if you put in the cells," right? So that's amazing. You're also having other things that AI, I think, will discover for us, right? Because keep in mind, it's going to get really high IQ. It's going to get like 250, 300. Okay, so it's going to tell us how do we fix this? How do we prevent it? And then we do it, right? The only issue I have is a regulatory component, right? The FDA, the bodies that regulate stuff, I feel like they will slow things down a bit because that's a problem when you, unfortunately, I think, go to government sometimes. You slow things down, but I hope
Absolutely.
we can get around that. So I think the future is going to be amazingly bright. A lot of diseases, a lot of illnesses will be gone. I think obesity definitely will be optional and is heading that way. And so many things that were tragic, like cancers and heart disease, will just not be there as much as they were. So then we'll have other stuff to think about. So I think we're going to solve these problems eventually in 10 years. I think like Ray Kurzweil has the idea that we're actually going to have every year we're around less, right? It'll be like 6 months instead of a year. So we're going to age in reverse actually, which is really interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you think of some of the policies that RFK has been putting forward?
I mean, I think he's a good guy. I think he's trying his best. He's trying to help people. The FDA recently had a meeting about peptides, which I think
Mhm.
relatively, comparatively, it was a good thing. It's going to get these things out to more people. Now, the question is, of course, when you give this to everybody, what will be the repercussions, right? Because if you now give it to a bunch of millions of people, if somebody has a problem, that's always explained more loudly, and then there's things to change. I hope that's not the case, but I hope we're heading in the right direction and changing stuff.
Yeah. Lori, do you have any familiarity with concierge medicine? Have you seen patients that are involved in it, or?
It's actually the first time I've ever heard of it, to be
So,
quite honest.
you should
Yeah.
try it. Of
So
course.
maybe you could talk a little bit about the Restore Longevity, the company that you started with concierge medicine, what's involved in getting to be a patient, how that has an advantage over somebody who has traditional physician,
Right.
um, cost factors, things like that. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Exactly. So concierge medicine, it just is for all ages, for all adults, that is. And if you need a doctor to be by your side as you need them, that's a great option. But if you're too busy doing stuff and you don't wish to still do some things I'm wishing, then that's fine. That's your life. That's concierge medicine. I'm here for you. I will respond, and there's a little monthly payment, but in the end, it's actually probably cheaper than insurance if you think about stuff. The other clinic, Restore Longevity, is just focusing on the healthy question. We want you to be healthy and live the best life possible, and we want you to be dedicated, right? So these people come to that clinic, and it's not just about having a concierge doctor that will help them. It's about taking a deep dive into your health, making sure everything is okay, and helping you make changes. So that's the plus of the concierge side. It's essentially very similar, but you go way deeper and you give to the person all these tools to make their health better. That's it. That's how I explain it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I was giving an example. We were talking before the show. A friend of mine who had just signed up for it and was telling me, he says, the best thing I ever did. He said, I was in seeing a specialist and he's had some issues that they couldn't figure out what was going on with him. And the doctor's explaining things. He says, hang on a second, picks up his phone, dials his concierge doctor who gets on the line. He says, you guys talk. And the
Hmm.
physician that he was seeing was amazed as much as that he could just pick up a phone and dial a doc, so to speak. It's like, when some of us were pretty friendly with physicians because we see them and work with them, etc. We could do that, but most people can't, right?
Exactly. The barriers are broken down, communication is way easier, and we get it done, and then we move on quicker. So instead of all this barricade, we just talk to the doctor and we think
Yeah.
about how we can help the person.
Now, is insurance still like I'm on Medicare? Would that still be something that you would utilize in that, or this is on top of it?
You can for certain things. Like let's say you need imaging. Let's say you need to
Mhm.
go to a place to get a colonoscopy, see a specialist. Then you can use your insurance. But for me, it is a non-insurance world as far as services, right? But the best thing is like the labs I give are cheaper than the insurance model, right? So you kind of get fooled by how insurance works, right? Insurance will say that'll be $500 for this lab, but really it's only going to be 50 for me. So people also
Yep.
kind of forget about that. Like if they go to a different pharmacy and I send them medicine, they can get a different price somewhere else they go, right? So they get a little bit more thinking, oh, okay. So that I think that's a good idea.
So the economics of it all can work out in the end.
Definitely. You just have to realize I have to get more involved in this. I'm not just going to be passive and doing what they tell me.
Right. And I think that kind of goes to the whole health, trying to live a healthier life to kind of, like you say, reverse some of these aging processes. Just we go in when we're sick mostly. That's not preventative health care.
Yeah, the saddest things I've seen is when you have somebody who's like 75 or 70 call me, I have some bad news. I was in Miami. I had a bellyache. They found, guess what? Pancreatic cancer, right? And this was a doctor friend of mine, even. And
Yeah.
sadly, I'm like, well, come on, Houston will help you. He couldn't even make it. He was gone, right?
Hmm.
This is a world famous cardiologist, right? He's got the
Yep.
best heart, but then he forgot about that cancer world. So, I mean, it's for everybody. Once you get to a certain age, it makes more and more sense.
Yeah. Lori, you have any questions?
No, I think it's interesting and it's nice to go kind of back in time a little where you have more accessibility to the physician to talk to and not have to go through call centers and all that other stuff that really people do not like. It's
Yeah,
more on a personal level.
I
Yeah.
agree. It's a changing. I think, like you said, it's almost not like it's new medicine. It's going back to old medicine,
Right.
where you had the family doctor who kind of knew everything, and if you need a specialist, they referred you out. But I think now more people are just going straight to specialists,
Yeah.
and you know, we got to admit we have tunnel vision. I know a lot of urology, but I don't. As you say, your cardiologist knew all about his heart, but he missed his pancreas.
Yeah.
You need someone to look at that bigger view.
Yeah, we're moving so forward in so many things, but I think we can move a little bit backward because there was something we did right.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you joining us. It was a great discussion. I think that this is going to be something that we're going to see more and more of this in the future. I'd mentioned that I did a little talk about this on UroPatient, and it was one of the higher viewed. So I know that the people out there, the general public who's looking for healthcare, is looking for this. I mean, just be able to sometimes talk to a doctor. I always joke, my father-in-law's own a moving company, big time mover, but he had a lot of friends because he golfed, and a lot of those friends were doctors. And I can tell you, all his medical advice got obtained at the golf course.
That's the way to go.
Yeah,
Or have a friend who's a medical doctor, right?
exactly. All right. Well, I'm going to have a little promo for next week's show.
On UroNurse, we're tackling an often overlooked condition that can have a profound impact on patients' quality of life. Genital psoriasis explained with experts David Cotter, MD, and Nyamisa, MD. They discuss how to recognize genital psoriasis, improve patient communication, avoid misdiagnosis, and review today's evidence-based treatment options. Learn practical strategies to provide compassionate, patient-centered care for a condition many patients are hesitant to discuss. Join us on August 8th at 9 a.m. Central Time to learn more.
Wow, that's the wrong week.
I was just going to
Today's August 8th.
about it. I was like, wait.
Oh, what could I say? 6 podcasts and I got a week wrong. All right, that's next week, folks. Join us for psoriasis, genital psoriasis. Not this week. It won't be coming on. And you get a good 3/4 of a contact hour for attending. So not bad. All right. Well, any last words, Lori?
No, I appreciate the talk, Dr. Burzynski. It's very interesting.
My pleasure. I hope you have a great life and be healthy.
Thank you.
And any last messages for folks out there, if they're interested, how can they get in touch with you, or what area do you serve, that type of thing?
Right. If not me, then somebody. Just look into your health. I mean, you may be going to a doctor who's doing the basic things, but think about, are you really healthy? Maybe take a deeper dive. What do your parents look like? What do you want to prevent, right? How do you see the next few years? That's why you should really focus on your health and do these things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's better to stay healthy than to have to try to get healthy. Trust me.
Yes.
All right. We'll see everybody next week for that.
So here's to the mornings, the coffee, the monitor glow, to the wisdom he shares and the folks that he knows. Saturday is special when Vic's on the stream with 40 years of knowledge and a head full of dreams.